Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. I'm Randy Piers, President and CEO of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and we are the last panel, I understand. So we're the closer, right? So I had a whole Edwin Diaz joke planned for those Mets fans that are in the audience, but we can't use that joke anymore. Look, Greg asked me to do a quick little monologue and then introduce our really amazing panel that has, of good friends representing a diversity of different industries and organizations to really talk about this challenging subject, right? Building systems and industries that we want to see in the future. One of the things that our community, and I've spent 30 years doing this work, 18 of those years have been directly in workforce development, 12 years have been directly in economic development. And one of the things, the holy grail of the work has been how do we align workforce and economic development strategy and policy to get to the goals that we all want to see happen, right? But I think a new administration, it's a new day, it's going to be a very different set of circumstances, but it's always a good opportunity to reflect and re-examine on the structures that we have in place that we currently operate under. But it's also a good time to look at the assumptions that we generally like to espouse to the wider community about who is our constituency. So I'm gonna start with the constituency that I know best, which is the business community. And the thing we don't say often enough, if at all, is that there are two business constituencies in New York City. There's the corporate business community, and there's the small business community. And those communities have very different challenges, needs, and wants. And we build policy, though, around what we call the business community in a very monolithic way. And I can tell you from experience, because my core constituency is small businesses, that we generally don't serve that community well, nor do we really truly understand what are the challenges that small businesses face in this particular city. Now, that being said, everyone loves small businesses. Think of your favorite bar, your favorite restaurant, your favorite bodega, the person who cuts your hair. We all have our favorite small businesses, and we all like to say, oh, they're the heart and soul of our neighborhoods, and they are. But then we develop policies that have been so disproportionately negative in their impact against small businesses, and we don't even realize it. But we do it for the right reasons. We want to support, things that we believe are important for workers, and that's good. So we have a new mayor coming in. The 5 borough chambers spent an hour with him. We talked a little bit about the small business community and what those challenges are. Him coming from an immigrant background understands that many of our small businesses are driven by the immigrant communities. It is the pathway to success and to wealth in New York City. He gets that. He gets it that violations and fines and regulations have been an impediment. I think he gets that there's an affordability crisis that impacts the small businesses too, but I'm not quite sure yet. So when he puts out universal child care, that's a good thing. That's a small business issue because it impacts the owners and the workers in the same way. We were one of the first chambers to come on board for universal child care, even before it became the policy of choice. But then he turns around and he floats an idea that he has really no control over, but $30 minimum wage. That destroys businesses, small businesses, period, end of story. And the dirty little secret is 1 in 7 businesses have been created since COVID. That is true, but we never track how many close. You track it in your neighborhoods. You track it down the block. We, the chamber, track it on a micro level But that's the one government data point that we don't ever really have available to talk about. And that's a problem. So hopefully we will convince the new administration that we need to be transparent and honest in terms of how policies are impacting the small business community, not just the corporate community. Because the reality is, much of the legislation that came out of the City Council over the last 10 years has disproportionately impacted small businesses in a negative way because the corporate community already meets the standards. Okay? And I can go down the list, and it's not just wage-related. Fair Workweek laws, wage transparency laws, you name it, all of that adds costs to small businesses. Layered in, higher rents, higher insurance costs, higher workers' comp. And it's almost impossible to run a small business in New York City successfully. All right, that being said, we've got a panel of experts that are going to come out and sort of talk about this intersection of industries and neighborhoods and what this all means for their particular sectors. I'm going to invite first out my good friend Andrew Ridgey of the New York City Hospitality Alliance, and I'm also going to invite out Leah Rambo from Non-Traditional Employment for Women. Come on down. It's like The Price is Right. Come on down.